Hello, welcome to the Bill and Kelly Show, coming to you from Wild Rose Brewery in Griffith, Indiana. I'm Bill Moran.
I'm Callie. Oh, sorry.
Nice try. I'm
good Lord. Oh, Kelly, you've had a rough time.
I know. It was a hard day.
So we would like to welcome our guest, Michael Puente, who is the Northwest Indiana and Southern Suburbs reporter for WBEZ, which is the NPR affiliate here in Chicago. So welcome to our show.
Thank you, Bill and Callie. Thank you for having me.
And you've been kind of busy lately.
Yeah, a little bit. We've been, covering so many breaking news stories lately. Over the past week, we've had the situation, the unfortunate situation in Aurora where 5 people died at a workplace shooting. I was called in to help cover that, and I never realized how far Aurora is. I mean, it's a good almost hour and a half. That story broke around on Friday afternoon. I was pretty much wrapping up my day, and I was in Crown Point. We have a bureau in Crown Point, and I was pretty much wrapping up my day. It was almost 3 o'clock. I had one more story to do. I was actually out to go get some coffee or something, and I got this alert on my phone from my editor saying, hey, this is happening in Aurora, who do we have to send? And I wasn't going to respond. I go, oh, they'll get somebody else. And I said, no, I want to go. So I turned my car around, went back to my office, got my bag of recording equipment, and I texted my editor, says, hey, I can go, but I won't be there for about a good hour or so. And he says, just go. So started on my way there, and I met another reporter there. And it's funny because I think I've been to Aurora maybe 1 or 2 times in my life. So driving there, you had to do the GPS. And I don't really know Aurora. And so I actually called one of my best friends who's from the Aurora area. And I said, Bob, you got to help me. Where's this at? Where's that at? So he's giving me directions. If there are any Marvel fans out there, I was sort of like Iron Man, and he was my Jarvis. So he was giving me my directions.
You guys are getting a backstory that you'll never get anywhere else.
So he was literally telling me there was one of the main streets there named Highland. So I'm on, I believe it's route, I think it's 290 heading that way. And so as soon as you get on 290, there's a Highland Street. I go, do you want me to get off here? He goes, no. There's a different Highland. Keep going. So I got to Highland Street and got off of there and went to Mercy Hospital. And it was, you saw a lot of the emergency vehicles at the hospital. But then they ushered us to the back of the hospital, all the press, where there was nothing to see. So, just a bunch of TV reporters hanging around doing nothing. And, so I tried to go somewhere to try to find out what was going on. So it was really difficult. A lot of streets were blocked off. People really weren't saying too much. We were trying to get as close as possible to the actual company with varying success. So I got to talk to some people, went to a press conference that night, spent the night there. The next day went to talk to some other people. Actually went to the apartment complex where the suspect used to live, and saw the FBI there, the bomb squad, they're taking stuff out. And so, it was a pretty intense couple of days just driving around, try to, these are some tough stories, People act like sometimes they think, well, this is what the press feeds on. Well, we're human too. We don't want to see tragedy, but, people are interested in that story. So, we try to get as much information about the victims. Of course, one of the victims was just 21 years old. He was starting his first day on an internship. In fact, today, as we're recording this, is his funeral. Pretty sad story. And, so we had a lot of questions about that from the company. And that company, Henry Pratt, they actually have an office in Hammond, near downtown Hammond. They make valves. So they have 7 factories around the country, But they have one in Hammond, one in Aurora. And in fact, the plant manager who also died there, he was responsible for Hammond.
Oh, wow.
So I'm not sure if, as of we're doing this story, I haven't had a chance to talk to anybody from the Pratt office in Hammond to see how much relationship he had to the Hammond office, but that was one of his areas that he had responsibility for.
Before you got there, it seemed like, the news hit and it became nationally news immediately because, again, this is the 44th active shooting since the beginning of the year involving multiple deaths. And the thing is, it was kind of interesting because there were multiple reports coming in. First they said they secured or captured the shooter, but then it came out later on that they actually killed him after they cornered him in a machine shop, I believe. So what was it like on there when you got on the ground, so to speak, and were they constantly changing the information, or, what was it like?
Well, the first, I'm trying to think, the very first press conference that somebody had was I'm trying to think, I want to say it was about 5 o'clock, no, maybe not, that was too early, maybe about closer to about 8 or 9 before they had a really official statement. All the press was over there, it was packed, and just trying to get the very basics, what time it happened, how many people died. 5 people died, and in fact 5 officers were injured trying to go into Rush.
And now there's one that's still hospitalized.
Right. That's right.
I think he shot one right out of the window as they approached the building.
So we were just trying to get basic information from the police. It wasn't that the story was changing. What you have is, the press is trying to get as much information and as much fast information as they can, and sometimes it turns into rumorville. But in this day and age of and some of this stuff is also pushed by Twitter, so Twitter and Facebook. So before, everybody's a reporter now. So if somebody is on Facebook who's not a reporter, says, "Oh, I heard this" or "I saw that," it gets out there. Now, here's the thing about, not to harp on the young man who passed away, very unfortunate incident. The way the press found out about his name, his age, everything, was that a friend, the kid had a friend. The friend's mother posted this whole story on Facebook. The name, the age, the photo, everything. So I reached out to her and said, "Hey, you think there's any way you would want to talk to me, or could we talk to your son about how you knew him?" Trevor, his last name escapes me right now. If you like to talk about Trevor. And she says, "Well, I really have to get permission of the family." But I'm thinking in the back of my mind, well, you didn't get permission of the family to post everything. So I know how people are. They want to be the first to say, "I'm hurt, I know this situation," and they're not thinking that when they post this, that other people are seeing it, and that media is looking at this.
And everyone. Oh, we have some friends. Oh, friends. That's our audience.
Friends are coming in,
Yeah, so you don't get this in your other show. First of all, what other show serves you beer?
That's right. This is the first time ever I'm drinking on the radio or on TV. It just never happened.
I'm telling you, come on the Bill and Kelly show, we treat you right.
This is the Passion Clumpin.
And friends show up, audience shows up, I tell you. Fans, you got a fan club here. Well, getting back to it though, that had to be a grueling, because that happens. Emotions get adrenaline, and everyone wants to play the reporter. Everyone wants to pretend they're going to break the news or get the information, and that's got to be tough on the media, because you're trying to boil everything down to get the hard facts. Because if you don't get it right, you're going to be held accountable somewhere.
I would just say this as a public service announcement, that when you hear of somebody passing away, the last thing you want to do is to post it on any social media. I don't care if you're a brother, sister, uncle. You wait until the family has had a chance to find out about it. Because could you imagine just being being the kid's mother or somebody and seeing that, and it's like, wait a minute, how did she know before I did?
I've heard stories where family members find out because of something
from law
posted.
enforcement, and they do an excellent job for trying to guard the information until that checklist has gone down.
Right.
Do we contact the family? Family's contact. Okay, we can release this information to the press. But people just want to jump ahead and don't realize what damage that causes to the family.
I get it that they want to be the first to tell everybody because they're hurting, or maybe they want sympathy for some reason, but at the same time, other eyes are looking at this. So this thing went viral big time. And she was getting calls from everybody. So I get it, but at the same time, man, it helped the press to find out who was one of the victims, but it came out way before.
Well, the wife of one of the gentlemen that he texted her that he was shot and that he loves her. That came out really quickly. Like, that was one of the very first things I heard about.
Yeah, and I kept on hearing differences from different media sources. I said, I'm going to wait until Michael gets there because we know.
Yeah, we know he'll get.
Now, all kidding aside, first you hear that one person died, 2 people died, that they had the shooter in custody, and then they actually held the press conference and you got the actual information.
And like, just so you know how the process kind of works, I was, so you get a lot of pressure too from, we have to report what's called a ROSER. It's where it's pretty much reporter on the scene reporting. Mm-hmm. So WBEZ's calling me for a live update of where I was at. I've had another reporter there. He's trying to track down information. My colleague, Patrick Smith, actually, when he first got there, actually got a great scoop in that he talked to the sister of the gunman who had said, well, he had been fired 2 weeks prior. Well, it turns out it looks like that information was false.
Right.
Maybe he was on probation, or maybe he was in trouble. She understood it that he was already fired. So then why was he coming back in for this meeting? So it opened up a lot of questions, but a lot of times reporting too, I felt like I was running around actually not getting too much. It's almost like, it's kind of the luck of the draw, who you're talking to, if they want to talk, if you get there at the right time, because I got to the apartment complex where the man lived and the police were searching, talked to a couple of neighbors, got some of that on the air. Another buddy of mine who works for the Daily Herald, which is the main paper in that area, says we didn't even have that. So we had an army of reporters. How did you get that so fast? So a lot of it is, sometimes I feel like a little mouse. So you're just trying to get your little piece of cheese to try to get that scoop or try to get that little bit of information. So I filed stories for the national network, NPR, from that. I didn't get to bed till like maybe 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. So
and all the neighbors say he was very quiet and kept to himself.
Yeah, well, a lot of them, some of them said he was a nice guy. Sometimes as a reporter, when you hear that, you kind of think like they didn't really know the person, but we're trying to, at that time we're kind of desperate for some kind of audio, but so I checked into a hotel, filed my stories, and then the next morning there was another 10 o'clock press conference where they announced the names, a lot more detailed information, and then you just go to work trying to track down these families. So I was running around everywhere trying to track down this family, going to Yorkville, going to Oswego, which is right next door, and I actually did talk to some family members, and so you just continue the reporting. I actually didn't get back home until like 2:30 in the morning on Sunday morning. It's a lot of work.
Right. So that was growing. Now, one of the things that, we follow you on Facebook, and I saw a picture of the NRA.
Yeah, I didn't know what that really was about, because outside the Pratt Center, and I had got there, we were actually waiting. I think it was Saturday afternoon, where we were waiting for a sort of like a prayer vigil to start. And I was parked there, other media, you see some of the media TV trucks. And then I just kind of noticed next to my car a pickup truck with NRA on there, and another thing says guns equals liberty. And I'm like, this seems like strange placement. And the guy was sitting there in his car, I don't know for how long, because I noticed it, then he just takes off. And it's like, I mean, I don't know if the person was from there or if he was there sending a message about, we know the media is now going to be talking about the guns. I just want to, I mean, it seems like there's a time and place for that.
Yeah.
And that really, to me, wasn't the time or the place to do that.
But don't you find nowadays, in this political environment, a lot of social norms are being broken?
Oh, absolutely. Everybody's talking about this guy's a Democrat or this guy's a Republican, and it's just like, you know, at this point, it's like we're talking about victims. We're talking about people. We're talking, you know, when the bullets fly, the bullets don't care if you're a Democrat, Republican, Independent, poor, rich, black, white. Wherever the bullets are pointing in, they're coming to get you. And you know, yeah, we have lost this sense in our country of just, you know, a sense of, you know, we're just kind of losing. I'm not sure, getting the word on it, but we're just kind of losing a sense of calmness, I guess.
Yeah, it's kind of like our consciousness stops at the political level and don't realize what's happening down at the lower human level. You know, we want to talk about what's going to make us win, what's going to make the party win, not how it affects people.
Right.
I think we are becoming numb to the fact of these shootings. You know, this one, you know, if you go back to the Parkland shooting or way back to Columbine, that had such a ripple effect that lasted years after each one of those incidents. And you already feel the ripple effect starting to fade away on this one, which is bad. It's totally bad for us as a society that is, you know, I think a couple of weeks that the effect, my guess is that media will go on and look on for the next thing. But again, this is the 44th, and we're only the second month into this year, the 44th active shooter incident where one or two people or more were killed or additional were injured.
There was another one somewhere, and it was on Twitter real quick, and I didn't even get a chance to click on the story to see what about 4 people died somewhere in the last couple of days, and it's just like we've become so blasé about it. It's part of the news cycle for just a little bit, and then it just goes away.
Well, I was going to say the 4 people in Michigan, they found a mother and 3 children.
Okay, there you go.
Shot in their house,
Yeah.
and I haven't heard any updates on that.
See, at the reporter, and I've heard, I ask you this because, you know, every reporter, I hear them saying the news cycle now is, you know, before it used to be a day or more. Now it's like 15 minutes or 50, you know, keeps getting shorter and shorter. And I imagine as you have feet on the ground, that's got to be difficult because you can't pay attention to what else is going on. You've got a story to report, and you're bogged down trying to get the details of that story. And there could be another shooting, you know, like the next town over.
I do like to say, though, that for the station that I work for, WBEZ, you know, we do report the breaking stuff like everybody else does, but then we try to continue on in focusing on some of our coverage a little bit later. Like, we're still on the angle of, with this guy, he applied for a FOIA card out of the state of Illinois to have a handgun back in 2014. He then applied for a concealed carry permit. That was rejected because he had a felony conviction.
Back in the 90s.
Right.
Yeah.
So he should have been, he was required under the law to turn in his weapons at that point. He didn't. And the Aurora Police Department and the Illinois State Police, they don't have a record of whether they sent Aurora a notice about it, and Aurora says they can't find it. So we're at least trying to find out, you know, what is being done about this.
Right.
We've already found out that the state of Illinois sends out thousands of rejection permits for concealed carry or FOIA cards, but nobody knows what happens to them. there's no checkup to see if these people are actually volunteering their weapons. And this is not an NRA issue, because NRA supporters always say we need to enforce the laws that are on the book. Well, these are laws that are on the books and they're not being enforced. Now, that's Illinois. I'm sure there may be similar situations in Indiana that we haven't talked about or found out about. But the bottom line is, guns can be, a very intimidating thing. And you've got to, with great power comes great responsibility. And, besides a car and a gun, I mean, those are two powerful weapons that, there's a lot of responsibility put on there. So
yeah, when you go in to buy a gun, there's still no skill testing, no garage testing. I mean, now they're expanding the laws to do more aggressive background check, but we're talking about something that's more deadly than driving a vehicle. But yet we're required to go in, do a test periodically, and a written test. But even before you drive, when you're a teenager, you have to go through education, get a permit, get a gun. No, you go in, they do a background check. But in this case, I think it was 2014. It's clear that the background check failed because it didn't show that he had a felony on his.
Well, the FOIA card, for the concealed carry part, it did work because it came back with a felony, and that's when the concealed carry permit application was denied. But where the system failed was nobody checked to see if this guy actually turned in his weapon. The weapon that he purchased in 2014 is the weapon that he used to kill those people just not even a week ago.
So that it did work. The concealed carry showed the felony. It's just that they didn't
confiscate the guns.
Confiscate the gun. That's scary.
Yeah.
That is scary because that's a dangerous weapon. And this guy, the thing is that talking to people, when you guys talk to family members, he seemed like a normal guy. Someone said that he was like flying drones and was his hobby and thing.
I also talked to like a couple of union folks too. Like, I talked to the head of the Chicago Federation of Labor. He's been in these kind of termination meetings. Now, of course, you got the union reps there to, protect their employees, to at least stick up for the rights. But is this going to change the way these termination meetings can happen? Because under the best case scenario, there could be at least some expletive said. There's going to be hurt feelings, and there's going to be some tense moments. Should there be a security guard at one of these things,
right,
in case things go south? Now, in this case, there was an intern there he was a college student in the Human Resources Department. He's starting his first day. I mean, why was he in this meeting? I get interns are there to learn, but that seems like to put somebody in a very volatile, heated situation. It doesn't seem like it's the best move.
Well, moving from this story, and it's kind of something that is kind of somewhat associated, Lake Central School Board. Again, schools are having to engage this issue with active shooters. I think they've all upped their game as far as security. In fact, Sheriff Reynolds has just been appointed to the National School Safety Committee. And he's working on upping and going through the educational process that he took all. But getting back to Lake Central, the school board has stepped up and said that they absolutely disagree with arming teachers. And if any bill comes forward, they will disagree with it. And that is something that, right away after the Parkland shooting, that people said, well, we've got to start arming teachers, that's scary. We have people who, never want to even touch a gun. And you're going to train them how to, it's a scary thought. So, have you guys covered any stories about what's going on, like in Illinois or any Indiana?
Well, after the Parkland shooting happened, I don't know if you remember, but a few days after that, there was a situation at one of the Portage middle schools or elementary school where there was a couple of kids who were actually walking towards like a wooded area with these air guns, and people thought they were real guns. And so, and I know in Portage they've been having this sort of tough time where the police department and the school district are kind of disagreeing how much police should be in the schools. So there's disagreements there. This is a tough issue because, we send our kids to school to learn and to feel safe, and unfortunate things happen. But I'm not sure if, and I'm talking as a parent too, not just as a media member. I've got, kids in schools too. I don't know if I want my kid's teacher carrying a gun because, anything can happen. Even the teacher can have a bad day, breaking up fights. Where's that gun going to be? Is it going to be in a closet? Is it going to be in his desk? And if two kids are having fights, if he's going to have it, is it going to be used as a form of intimidation? I mean, there's just so many things that can go wrong by having a teacher wearing
a gun is to have the ammunition separate from the gun and everything, and it's there for an emergency. Well, it's not going to do you any good if the ammunition's in a lockbox, the gun's in a lockbox. I mean,
right.
And you don't want them walking around with a loaded gun.
I know several teachers, and one of their concerns that they've always expressed is, they're already loading a lot on us. The curriculum, rigorous curriculum, they're always stepping up, adding one more thing that they have to teach. And to add to being trained to handle a gun, and some of these people, they just don't even want to deal with it. They have a definite fear of firearms, and I gotta say, I agree with them, and I'm not.
I agree with them too. I think there needs to be a lot more discussion, not a knee-jerk reaction. Look, if there are school districts who feel more comfortable with having it, if there's a teacher in there who grew up with guns as a hunter and feels totally safe with them, I say, oh, I guess. I don't know. It would have to depend on the situation, but what if that gun goes off? What if that,
what if a student gets a hold of it,
Right. What if it misfires? Or what if there's actual an active shooter, the teacher comes out and shoots an innocent bystander, a child or a kid? Who's going to be responsible for that? What's the liability in that case? Do now parents and kids have to sign waivers to say, hey, if you're entering this school, things can happen. So if you die while in school, we're not held responsible for
exactly.
it. It seems to be like a lot of liability.
For lost articles or dead kids.
It's something that needs to be discussed openly with the Teachers Association, the board, school boards. It's got to be because it's not.
It's got to be vetted. It can't just be a knee-jerk reaction. Now, again, if there's a school district somewhere in the country, maybe more rural areas where, and we do know hunting is a big part in a lot of areas of our country, and they feel more comfortable with it, maybe I would have less concern. But in some urban areas and in suburban areas, I just don't know. I mean, even in like a parochial Catholic school, you're going to have a teacher packing heat, one of the nuns? I don't know.
Oh gosh, I just brought back some. I wouldn't want Sister Rosarita ever.
She had the ruler. Now she's going to be packing heat.
She had some guns already. I mean, her biceps were like 16-inch biceps. She made Dit Butkus look like a little schoolgirl. Having her pack heat she was scary enough. Let's leave it at that. Let's move on to something a little bit more positive before we close out. Really good news came out. We've been hearing about this for about a year or so. The Indiana Dunes finally becoming a national park. Isn't that awesome?
It is great. And a lot of people might say, well, what's the purpose of the designation? Well, here's the purpose of it, is to draw tourism, in that you have people in this country who like to visit every national park in the country. And now this is going to be now on their list to visit. And really, there are so many people in Indiana, especially, we assume because we live so close to, we're in Northwest Indiana, that everybody has seen that beach. A lot of people have not experienced it. It's beautiful from Walhalla Beach to Gary, parts of East Chicago, the Indiana Dunes. Now the Indiana Dunes National Lakeshore being a national park. I think it's a very positive thing that we should feel proud of, and it's Indiana's very first national park. That says a lot, especially when 100 years ago they wanted to destroy it. It was going to be gone. Thanks to a lot of efforts of actually people in Chicago to help try to save it. Everyone from Paul Douglas there's been people over the years, over the centuries, who have said, look, we got to protect this area from industry. They were using those dunes for glass. There was a glass company there. We know Mount Baldy used to be twice the size as it is now. So I think it's a great thing.
Yeah, tourism, additional money for the park. That's always been a bone of contention because Indiana has been very cruel to the budgets of parks, and that's a large property to take care of. But yet their budget is continuously strapped, and a lot of park superintendents said, "Man, I don't know where we're going to make money," and so they open it up and start bringing on commercial entities to Art and Partnership. Then you end up with complaints, we shouldn't be doing that. Well, as a park superintendent, you sit back, where am I going to get the money to keep this open and keep it, the toilets clean, the wooded areres hikeable, and make sure that we have staff to make sure everyone is safe. So this is a good thing, and we do have a lot to our congressman.
Pete Wisłowski. Yeah, he carried the water on that one.
Yeah, he did. He brought that to fruition, and a lot of things, a lot of people, there's a lot of controversy, but I tell you, he's done great things for the region and brought a lot of money into the region.
A lot of people don't realize, too, the Indiana Dunes National Park now is also connected and affiliated with the Pullman National Monument on Chicago's southeast side in the Pullman area. So the same people who oversee that, the National Park Service, they also see the Indiana Dunes. So there's that connection of that sort of Calumet region heritage
I love
area.
Pullman. That's a great area.
Yeah, it is.
Great area.
Yeah, and then the last thing I'll bring up is that they just passed the tax abatement for the data center in Hammond, and so that's hopefully going to get started and bring some development to the Lakeshore that is clean development, not manufacturing, but clean development, which is. That's one thing. Historically, we've always, let's put a plant in there. Let's put a plant. But this is a data center that is going to operate in a clean environment, using solar energy, a mixture of clean energy, which is great. And so it's good news. And Tom McDermott has done a great job with his team bringing things into Hammond. They've got the Festival of the Lakes. They just finished the 219 Day. A lot of things going on in that community.
That's right. Happy 219 Day.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, gosh, with that, I guess we better start wrapping things up so you can get back on the beat. You got stuff to report.
That's right. I got to get back out there. Actually, I got the next couple of days off. I'm going to relax, doing nothing, and going to do movie binging or something.
Yes.
Good. Netflix just, Kelly could steer you a couple of directions.
I got it out.
Boy, she had one on the other night that was like, oh, jeez. The one with, oh my goodness.
I
Was it
like
Stranger
a lot of weird
Things?
stuff.
Yeah.
Oh no, but I love Stranger Things.
You want a scary movie, ask Kelly. She'll direct you. So we're going to be at SIP tomorrow, and we're going to go through. So I was going to mention some events, but we're just going to save it for.
Go ahead, do it.
Oh, you think we have time?
Well, you want me to read something for you here?
Well, I spilled beer on it.
It's okay. Let's see.
Well, this
we
is
have
one
here?
that Kelly and I are going to be doing a promotion for this weekend.
On March 14th at the Peninsula Hotel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Peninsula Hotel in Chicago.
March
baby.
14th and
Have you
29th.
ever been to the Peninsula Hotel?
No.
And he works for
The
WBEZ.
Peninsula Hotel, the Grand Ballroom at 108 East Superior in Chicago. There are going to be cocktails, a luncheon, a fashion show. And Bill and Kylie are going to be there.
That's right.
So
Yeah.
you want to be there too.
And we're going to do a promo for that this weekend. We're getting
Wow.
together with
Glamour and Glitz
Yep.
fundraiser for
Sandy
Silver
Goldberg,
Lining.
and who is actually the CEO of a Silver Lining Foundation, which is a women's and men's breast health foundation. It helps
Wow.
underinsured and not insured women and men to get out there and have breast exams. So this is going to be a fashion event that the proceeds will go there, and they're bringing in some world famous fashion designers. You know, a guy that we've had on show, Mark Roscoe, is going to be involved. He is lawyer by day, fashion designer by night. He's a
Emmy
strange-
Award winning.
Emmy Award winning.
designer.
So we're going to be rubbing elbows with some pretty
Here we are.
impressive people.
Absolutely.
So,
I'm rubbing elbows now with some pretty
That's
impressive
true.
people.
and then tomorrow night here at Wild Rose Brewing, you got kids, right? Is Kids Eat Free.
That's right.
Tomorrow.
Wow.
Here.
Tomorrow.
Then Friday night, there's an open mic night at Fox Galleries in Hobart.
Yes.
Wow.
So that,
Wow.
yeah, we've had her on for some of the plays and stuff.
Yes, we have.
And then Saturday, you're a comic book
Yeah, comic book
right?
geek, yeah.
So Comic-Con is coming to the halls of St. George
Wow.
on Saturday at 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. Admission is $10, parking is free. And again, that's Saturday at the halls of St. George. And that's in Cherville. Saturday night, Kelly, you want to tell
Well,
them?
Saturday night and then Sunday afternoon at Beatniks on Conkey is Vagina Monologues, which is a fundraiser for Haven House. It is a must-see for anybody, not just women, but men as well. It's educational, it's funny, it's thought-provoking, it's an amazing show for an amazing cause. So please come out and see it.
Wow.
And you actually were in
I was in it for 5 years.
5 years.
Yeah, I'm not in it this year, but
If you go to Beatniks and look at all the pictures on the wall, you see a
quite a few of
promotion
me.
of a familiar face.
there's quite a few pictures of me.
Yeah, so, well, with that,
It's a
we're going
And
to...
if you go to the post office, you'll see my familiar face on the wall.
Yeah.
No, mine's there. Boy, with that week, gosh, Michael, we appreciate it.
Yes,
We
thank you so
appreciate
much.
all
Thank you for
you
having
do.
me on.
I mean, this is big for us. They have someone with NPR, BEZ.
Yep.
It's like, wow, man. So, boy, you know, I felt connection when I was, I only, in the car, I only listen to WBEZ. No one gets my...
Yes, it's true.
And I remember when they broke the story, they said, we have someone on their way to report the story. And I said, that's Michael.
Oh,
Yeah, so we felt connected right away. But,
Excellent. Excellent.
and I always look forward to hearing you on periodically when you do your pieces. So thanks again, and maybe we'll
you
have
for
you on
having me.
again with time permitting.
Anytime.
With that, we wish you all a safe rest of the week and weekend, and hope get out there and enjoy and have fun.
Let me just say real quick, happy birthday to my daughter Jessica.
Yes.
She's turning 14 on Saturday.
Jessica.
And hello Stephanie and my wife Grace. Yay.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Happy birthday. With that, we wish you a good night.
Night.
Good night.
Good night.
We are drinking in our fabulous The Bill and Kelly Show mugs. That's right, we have our own mugs. We're cool.
Yeah.